Get your motor running, head out on the highway, looking for adventure, and whatever comes our way. Hey, yeah, driving gonna make it happen. Take the world in a lemon grace, fire all of the guns at once and explode into space like a true nature's child. We were born to be wild. We can climb so high, never wanna die. Born to be wild. Born to be wild. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, welcome back to Full Throttle TV and the ESRA Clash Series. Tonight we take on Atlanta Motor Speedway, where we've got these top guys fighting tooth and nail, guys like Rinker, Miranda, and Tucker. You know, of course, not in the points battle, but in the battle to win the race every night. Can't wait to get this going. I'm Dean Doucette. In the booth with me, Mr. Brad Patterson. Brad, these guys at the top, man, they do battle each and every week.
Yeah, they really do. You know, we have a couple of comers and goers, if you will. We've seen, you know, Dalton Tucker, obviously the newcomer, if you will, new guy on the track. Definitely not new to the series, but definitely new to this particular league session. You know, Shane Wyatt, he's been making his way up towards the top of the boards. And, of course, what can you say? You know, you got Mario Moreno. Mario Moreno has been stable in the top 3 this entire season. So it's going to be very interesting to see who exactly is going to be able to tackle this Atlanta Motor Speedway tonight.
Absolutely, it's going to be interesting. We look in on the championship standings, and we've got to get a quick correction on these. If you just bear with me, 1 sec. Yes, and those points are indeed backwards. So we have, it's Mario Miranda with the lead with 341 points, and it's Zach Rinker in second place with 334, 341, 334. It's a Miranda, then Rinker. Wyatt sitting in third. Bruce has climbed up now to 4th place. Jorgensen in 5th. Then it's Wilson, Warrens, Chipman, Robert Warrens, and Benjamin Walters.
One thing I noticed right off the bat here tonight, that driver in the 4th place there, part of the K2B Motorsports, Darren Bruce, he is actually not going to be in the field tonight, so definitely going to lose a little bit of ground there, and it's going to be up to Matt Jorgensen to try to be able to take over that position with only a couple points back. I think he should be able to do it.
Absolutely. As we make that correction on the fly there, you can see Mario Miranda on top of the board. So looking forward to this race tonight here, Brad. You know, it's a tricky track, and things have changed around here a little bit. You know, we got our keys to the race here, and let's talk about them one at a time here. You got the old low line, high line. Well, the high line is becoming pretty prevalent here. We're seeing guys riding around these corners against a wall. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things with the change earlier in the season here when it came to iRacing. It definitely opened up that top lane if you're conservative. But at the same time, you can still burn up your tires really quick. And what I'm hearing from the grid here is this car is generally going to the tight side. The more laps they put on it, I've seen a couple of guys really start to kind of mess with that top side, but everybody still seems like they're bottom feeding, with the exception if you're going to get somebody like a Dakota Wilson working the top. Dalton Tucker looks like he's had a lot of practice around the top side. So what it definitely does, though, it makes for a very interesting race, and definitely side-by-side racing is available. But remember, when you exit these corners, it gets real narrow real quick.
Yeah, it's a great point. It really does, especially off of 4 there. Really tightens up on exit there. Of course, we got our other keys, pit strategy, and tires that kind of go hand in hand here. And it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I mean, what do you think about pit road here at Atlanta? I mean, it's a pretty standard pit road, not too hard to get on here, Brad. But what about, we've seen guys throw it away on pit road week after week after week.
Yeah, pit road here is one of the, I want to say kind of one of the easier places, if you will, as far as being able to hit your marks, get down to speed. But at the same time, it can bite you. Really, pit exit is more, I think, the harder place. Not getting on, but getting off. Getting around turn one on that flat track and not really losing it, because you can get out of shape very easily here on the bottom of that apron coming off of coming off of two, I should say, getting to that blue cone.
Absolutely. Great points there as we take a look in on Shane Wyatt out here taking his qualifying time. And Shane Wyatt, another guy, I mean, he just gets better and better week after week. He should probably stop saying that. Maybe it's just become one of the more consistent drivers out here, Brad.
Yeah, Shane's done very well for himself here. He was actually the fastest car in practice earlier on today. Not going to necessarily match that for his qualifying attempt. Doesn't look like it, but a competitive time nonetheless. But it's going to be very interesting, because who says you want to be out front here? I mean, this is one of those tracks where the draft does take advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, too. Sometimes you're a sitting duck out front there. Be interesting about those restarts. Do you want to get that big launch and have these guys draft up on you or not? Going to bring in some interesting questions, absolutely, during this race. And we got a bit of a short field here tonight. Do you think that favors anybody here? Like, I mean, you're not going to have to deal with lap traffic. You're going to have, if you're out front, you're going to have clean air. I mean, I can imagine some of the guys you might bring up here, Brad, but does it favor anybody?
And I mean, I really don't know if it does. If it favors anybody, and this might be a little surprise, I think it's going to favor the Warrants. I mean, predominantly, I should say, a longer run car. We've seen them throughout the entire series come on very late, so they know how to take care of their equipment and stay. And they might not have to make their way through nearly as many cars getting towards that front.
Yeah, that's a great pick right there. The Warrens really proving their long run abilities out here, and I like that call. You did kind of pull it out of left field to me, and I love it. The Warrens really proving their might as of late in this series. Right now, let's go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll set your starting order here for the Atlanta 225. Cars are out on the track, getting lined up here. Let's get into the starting lineup. Matt Jorgensen on top of the board. Or whoops, we're off kilter a little. As you can see, Dalton Tucker, the familiar Dalton Tucker in the 82, has won the pole tonight. Time of 31.463. Excellent job by him. Zach Rinker on the outside of row number 1. Miranda will be starting third tonight. Shane Wyatt in the 4 spot, and these top 4, my God, top 4 in points. Well, Tucker not in the points, actually. Top 3 in points within the top 4 here tonight. Jorgensen will start 5th. Knighton in 6th. You got Wiley and Ishkanen in row number 4. It's Mullis and Wilson in row number 5.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to have that 80 of Dalton Tucker. He's going to start 10th, but you know what? I see that he's actually getting an EOL penalty, so he will actually start at the tail end of the longest line here. Then you're going to have that 54 Robert Chipman. And then you know what? I talk about the Warrens. They didn't even get qualifying times, and Robert Warren's going to start 12th. Jacob Jorgensen, Dennis Warren's 14th, and Benjamin Walters. They're going to round out their top 15, so all good starting positions, top 15 for all these guys.
Yeah, there is no bad starting position per se. Short field here tonight as this series starts to wind down here. And really, these guys, there's lots of opportunity. But up front, man, those top 4 guys, Tucker, Rinker, Miranda, and Wyatt, I mean, there's going to be others involved as well. But these top 4 have really proven they all have speed. Depends on which track we go to. And they do battle, Brad. I mean, they're going to be... I mean, we've seen some blocking. We've seen some pushing. We've seen a little bit of action lately, or perhaps some residual effects from some of these races. We're going to see a little contact here tonight, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, it is a short field, like you said, but one thing Atlanta is known for is not being able to get away from anybody. So it's going to be very interesting to see if it's going to be nose-to-tail race, and I expect it to be at least nose-to-tail for at least the first, call it 8 laps before we start getting a little bit of separation as the cars tighten up.
Yeah, they all tighten up. Get ready for the start of the Atlanta 225 here. It's Dalton Tucker and Zach Rinker, Miranda and Wyatt chasing.
Green flag, green flag.
Down and away, and Miranda perhaps spinning the tires a little bit there. He's a little squirrely down on the inside. He's gathered it up nicely and perhaps get that position back, but Wyatt fighting hard on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. What that is going to do, though, it's going to allow Dalton Tucker to clear to the top side. It's going to let Zach Rinker in the 60 fall in line. It looks like Rinker is going to go directly to the bottom of the racetrack. He is not content with running on that top side.
Love it from Rinker. He's got to get out here and get some points here tonight. He's not going to let Tucker get away, but Tucker on that high side, we already see in that high line, quite capable here and actually maybe better.
Yeah, and talk about the high line. I mean, there was a high line, and then there was the line that Mario Miranda decided to run in 3 and 4 that he was all the way up against the fence right off the get-go on lap 1.
Well, we've seen that in practice, Brad. These guys running that high line, Miranda in particular, I watched a little bit. And what I can tell you is there's speed up there, but there's danger up there as well. I mean, talk a little bit about that, just the dangers of running that line.
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, we generally see on the server in any type of racing where, you get about 5, 6, 8, 10 laps into it, all of a sudden the car makes a big shift. All of a sudden you go into that corner on the bottom, and all of a sudden the car will get really tight and it just doesn't want to turn for you. The problem with that is on that top side, if all of a sudden the car doesn't want to turn, you don't have 20 feet to catch the car. You've got 3 feet, you've got 5 feet. So you've really got to be guessing every single time. As we see right there, Miranda still working the top side, but you're seeing him kind of go down about a middle lane right in the center of the corner, kind of drop it down a little bit to make sure he's got a little bit more leeway, if you will, on the exit of these corners.
I mean, we're going to have to get on board with one of these guys in a minute and just see. We'll wait for him to come around here and get back into 1 and 2. It seems like they're really winding it up on the high side. Right now it's Tucker, Rinker, Miranda, Wyatt, and Jorgensen, your top 5.
Tucker, the only one kind of working the bottom still a little bit, and then I say that kind of jokingly. He's not all the way down on the bottom. We're definitely seeing Rinker and Miranda stand to that top side, and then you got Shane Wyatt probably right behind them. Shane Wyatt might be the guy we want to jump on board with, as we're going to be able to get a little bit of view from in front of him and you just see just how up on the wall those guys are as Jorgensen's actually working to the inside of him, trying to get by him.
Yeah, we see here the replacement racing league cockpit Cam Wyatt, and we see the different lines through 3 and 4 there. We head down into corner number 1. Now just watch as these top 3 are all riding the wall here through 1 and 2. I mean, this is incredibly high racing here, Brad.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And one thing that is very
seem to have cut out there mid-sentence, but
really out of the throttle to kind of, and what he's doing there is he's straddling that line.
So let's look a little bit further back here. You got Casey Knighton in the 84. He's fighting tooth and nail with Matt Jorgensen, and here comes Jason Wiley looking down on the inside.
Yeah, Wiley doing a great job trying to work that bottom. If everybody goes to the top and that's where they think it's the fastest, you got to go where they're not going to go. It's Jorgensen kind of works the middle. You're going to have that 84 and Knighton working the top, and you're seeing right there, prime example, the 51 kind of pushing up in the center of the corner, where the 84 of Knighton coming off that top groove and kind of getting to the center groove and kind of driving off. And that's the different styles of racing right here, especially with the multi-group racetrack that it seems like we're going to have tonight with Atlanta.
Yeah, we definitely got it here as a top 4, and it's Wyatt. Wyatt's in the wall, down to the inside. Shane Wyatt riding that high side. Brad, that's what we were trying to talk about with those dangers up there on the high side. You never know when you might catch that wall.
No, you really don't. The only good thing about it is that generally it doesn't cause as much damage because you don't get enough inertia going into the wall to where it really wrinkles the quarter panels and everything. So it's kind of one of those give and takes, but at a moment's notice it can bite you.
Absolutely, it can. So we look back up front now. It's Tucker and Rinker, a couple of Fords. Miranda in the Toyota all over Rinker here.
That we expected to see. It's been this way all season, these two guys battling. Right now, nose to tail again on the racetrack. They're kind of running both of them. They're running the same line, especially through 1 and 2 here, both on the top side. It's not going to give Miranda any type of an advantage. He's actually starting to lose the nose a little bit. He's going to try to dive in underneath. It looks like he might get he's right where he needs to. He's going to be a little bit of possible contact going into 3 here.
Man, that's how you got to get it done. But they're fighting. He didn't give any room there. Rinker's in the wall.
Yeah, Miranda went in a little bit too hot, kind of lost the nose, kind of drifted up the track just a little bit. I mean, you can't exactly expect somebody to be completely on the top side. So a little bit of controversy here early in this right now, as we heard Rinker not too pleased with that.
I bet he isn't. Let's get a quick look in on a replay of that action. You see here Miranda coming off the corner. And they're almost contact Rinker. Miranda just not going down the track at all. I mean, really forcing Rinker into the wall.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where you don't want to sit there and think that it was intentional. I mean, but you got to sit there a little bit further into the run like that. You got to know you're not going to get the turn that you've had from that top side. And I think that he decided he was going to put it up underneath him. He committed to it. And the car just pushed in the center of the corner. There's no way he was getting down. You even saw his car work its way back up across the seam on that top. So unfortunate event. Hopefully Rinker didn't get too much damage, but he's falling like a rock already, a second back from Miranda, and Knighton and Wyatt closing in on him quickly.
Let's look in on our leader here in that Haviline machine. I know you love that paint job, Brad, and he's out here putting it to good use, now opening up a 2-second gap.
Oh yeah, definitely a scheme that I do not mind seeing out front, especially with the old, in this case, the 82, but preferably the 28. Good memories from my childhood, if you will. But definitely Dalton Tucker doing what he does best. That's leading this field around this track. He's continued to open up a lead, currently about a 2-second lead. We're currently about 14 laps into this run, and it doesn't seem like he's slowing down at all.
No, and that's the thing with Tucker. He can be good short run. He can be good long run. We look back. There's Miranda. Now, he's hanging in there right now. He's got clean air now that he's dealt with Rinker, and he is maintaining here now 1.95, losing a little time through that corner there. But Miranda looking good. Knighton has moved his way up to third place. What a job by the 84 of Casey Knighton. Shane Wyatt still fighting after that early problem he had. He's regaining some spots here, now up to fourth, and he's fighting Rinker. Rinker trapped on the low side, got a little damage from that contact. Jorgensen looks high. He looks like he's going to take that spot as well, as Rinker has to file in.
Yeah, I think Rinker's got significant damage, a lot more than we thought. I was watching them right before we cut over to them on broadcast, and Shane Wyatt, again, scraped the wall just a little bit, so that car not handling exactly the way he wants to. Definitely a little bit tight, especially center off, it seems like him. But right now, the big deal is Zach Rinker. He came into this just a few points back from our leader. Had a little bit of contact with our points leader, Miranda, and that put him up into the wall and significant damage to that race car as it continues to fall back. Right behind them, though, we're going to talk about Robert Warrens. I talked earlier in this broadcast, I thought they were going to be kind of my dark horse, didn't have to kind of go through the entire field. And you know what? It's starting to show. The 59 up to 7th, the 90 of Dennis Warrens up to 9th. So they've started 13th and 13th and 15th respectively. Definitely up about 5 or 6 positions each, moving towards the front.
Yeah, we got a newcomer on the track, Jacob Jorgensen, sandwiched in between those Warrens, doing a nice job himself, as all three of these guys up 5 spots on the night. Looking back in 10th place, it's going to be Brandon Ishkan there in the 25. Looks like he's got a decent hot rod tonight. You got Wiley back in 11th. And it's Chipman, Dakota Wilson back quite a bit here. And then Benjamin Walters and Ryan Mullis rounding out the field.
Dean, what do you think about this? I mean, we know in this series we only got about 65% fuel. We have plenty of tires. I mean, they got 6 sets in the garage. It's only a 125 lap race. How important is it to play a strategy here versus just play it straight up, you think, and, run what you got, try to burn it up, knowing that you only got 65% of fuel. Tires are going to last a pretty decent amount of time here.
Yeah, I mean, Atlanta used to really chew them up. It's not quite as bad on the latest builds here on iRacing, but I think this is big. I mean, there are opportunities to be had. We're looking like it's going to be a caution-free race, but you never know when or if one can come. I mean, I just don't know. With the 60% fuel or 65, I'm not sure what they run, but the ability to get out here and run pretty hot laps is going to be, pretty high. So these guys, I mean, I don't know. You're looking at Dennis Warrens right now and Robert Warrens. We talked about their long run ability. How much can they really capitalize on it? I'm not sure, Brad.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with that. I don't think they're going to be able to capitalize, especially because it's a green flag run. I think they will make up some positions, as you see right there. Robert Warren's actually closing in and passing the 60 of Zach Rinker, currently in 6th position, as Rinker continues to fall back due to that damage. I think they'll probably get up maybe to 3rd, but I mean, as far as a win, I just don't think there's enough time to make up that type of distance. And then on top of that, you got the likes of somebody like Dalton Tucker and Mario Miranda out front, so they're not going to overdo their equipment to the point where they're just going to be sitting back and falling through the field.
Let's get a quick look in on our leader here. You got Dalton Tucker virtually all alone. You can see Miranda back there in the distance. Now Miranda 2.8 seconds back. He has lost another second since the last time we checked in on him. So Tucker just so difficult out in clean air, but Miranda hanging in there. Knighton in 3rd, doing a really nice job. And Wyatt has battled back now, Brad, into 4th place, and he looks pretty solid.
Right, continuing to do good. Got a little bit of damage. I don't know really how much that's upset his race car. Right behind him, we got a heck of a battle there. Matthew Jorgensen, Robert Warrens battling and out side by side, kind of trading positions there on that last lap. Right behind them, you're going to have Zach Rinker as he continues to fall through the field. And then you're going to have the 44, Jacob Jorgensen. But right now, I think the battle on the track is definitely going to be between that 51 and 59.
Definitely, they're doing battle out here, and there seems to be quite a contingent around them and behind them. I mean, there is, what is that, 6, 7, it looks like 8 cars. You could throw, well, pretty large blanket over them, but they're really battling back here.
Yeah, this might be the section of cars, if you will. The guys that decided that they're going to kind of take it easy on the restarts. They're going to kind of make their way up later in the run because we see these guys putting down some pretty good lap times and not really, being too effective. But from the bottom, they're not really pushing up in the center of corners. They're able to really stay low. As a little bit further back, 90, Dennis Warren's right there. Jason Wiley. I mean, really, this is the best spot in the track. Really between fifth and 12th, we got about 3 seconds, and they're all right there, kind of nose to tail.
Yeah, they are, and we're seeing a little bit of squirreliness out of some of these cars. Just seen Dennis Warren's get a little loose. Earlier, it was the 25 of Ish Cannon I spotted get a little loose. So, these cars aren't perfectly handling out here, Brad. And I don't know if, it's low line or high line. I tend to think right now it's a little tougher on the guys running the low line. I think we've lost Brad momentarily there. We continue to look in on this battle. You're going to have Ish Cannon fighting here right behind him. Wiley closing in front of them. Warrens and Jorgensen continue their side-by-side action.
A little technical difficulty. These guys continuing to battle, and it's really interesting to see him able to work the bottom of the racetrack right like that. He's going to be able to actually complete that pass. It sounds like I'm actually starting to hear that the 44 of Jacob Jorgensen, he's actually going to be heading to pit road this time. So pit stops maybe in a minute.
All right, well, the 44 coming down there. He's got someone in front of him. That's Rinker right in front of him coming in as well. As these guys make their way down pit road.
Yeah, I don't think that's surprising at all. I think as soon as pit stops were able to be done, Rinker would be in, especially with the amount of damage and the amount he's fallen back in the field.
As Brad struggles with his empties collection, we continue racing.
All right, that was something else, but...
Dalton Tucker out here leading this race. Rinker and Jorgensen are in the pits. Let's bring up our little pit monitor here and just see. And of course, it is not going to work at this moment.
Yeah, he's going to make his way. He's going to be on the bottom of the racetrack there in 1 and 2. He's definitely going to come out in front of the 44 Jacobson. So a good pit stop there by the 60th Rinker.
All right, there's our little pit tracker now. And you can see there Rinker and Jorgensen and their times in the pits. We'll kind of keep this up for a little bit and just see. There's Tucker back here. That's back to Miranda. Third place, Casey Knighton right there. Then it's Robert Warrens, continues to march forward. Someone you really liked early on. Brad, he's made his way up to 4th place, up 8 spots on the night.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that he does. He starts off slow, doesn't generally typically get a very good qualifying, but he's in it for the race. And, it seems like the more time goes on, the more comfortable he gets. I would look at it as kind of like a rhythm driver, if you would. You kind of get the rhythm of the race, you get the rhythm of the racetrack, and you kind of just make gains as you go. And he's done a great job. Started 12th, currently up 4th, up 8 positions, closing in on the back of the 84 Casey Knighton right now, doing a great job.
And talking about him a bit, watching him run out here, he is running the low line from beginning to end, both corners. And I don't know, is it, you think maybe better on tires? Because he seems to be doing quite well doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to tell in all reality because Knighton, he's running the top side. He started 6th, obviously, but Robert Warren's a little bit further back in the field. He's going where they don't need to go. So I got to sit there and think that he's using less fuel, less throttle, keeping it on the bottom and staying on the bottom. So I got to honestly think it probably is a little bit better on tires. But the biggest thing is firing right off the gate. I bet he was not one of those drivers that decided to go full throttle, corner after corner, and really burn it off.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there. Right now, Dennis Warrens loses a spot as Brandon Ishkanen starting to make a move towards the top half here, the 25, up a spot on the night. And I think he's picked up a couple over the last few laps. Up ahead is Dennis Warrens. You got Chipman, or they were going backwards here. Warren's behind, Chipman behind him. And Robert Chipman's interesting. He's up a couple of spots on the night, Brad. And we've seen him have great races, and we've seen him, have these mediocre races. The 54 kind of improving as he goes here, riding around up 2 spots in 9th place tonight. I think he's got a pretty bright future here.
Yeah, Shipman's been one of those guys. He's put together some really good runs, but all of a sudden, late in the runs, I don't know if it's a matter of, it's ill handling race cars or just kind of, as the run goes. And generally, what I mean by that is, in the distance of the race, we get about 75% of the race completed or whatnot, and he'll usually get in some sort of incident, whether or not it's by himself or the car just doesn't happen to handle very well or something like that, and gets himself in a little bit of trouble, and that kind of ends his night. So definitely one of those drivers that needs to see a good run tonight, and just has to get through an entire race clean.
Absolutely. Well, as we see, speaking of clean, Ishkanen's wiggling. Behind him, Jorgensen's wiggling. I think Jorgensen might be making a move down pit road here. And yes, he is going to come in here. I think that's a good call. He was having a little bit of trouble, and Miranda is in ahead of him. So Mario Miranda has pitted here on lap 35, and that's going to make it, a 3 pit stop strategy for him. And he's on the far end of the pit stall there, just getting her woed down in time.
Tucker's coming in right behind him. Tucker coming in this time by, not going to sit there and let Miranda get a couple of free laps on him. He will pit 1 lap later than Miranda. That could be one thing to note later on in the series, but Miranda will not make up nearly as much time as he thought he would be with a little bit short pitting as Dalton Tucker comes to pit road.
Wow, we've seen Knighton coming in, Robert Warrens and Shane Wyatt, and they were all smoking those tires, getting those cars slowed down enough to get on pit road.
Question is those guys that pitted early, the Zach Rinker, Jacob Jorgensen in the 44, what is this going to do for them? Are they going to be able to get out early as Dalton Tucker pulls away from the pit box? He's going to be on the access road trying to get back up onto the racetrack. It's going to be interesting to see who exactly is going to be able to challenge him here.
Yeah, and interestingly, Rinker on the track, he pitted a little earlier, and he's gotten himself out in front of Miranda, so we could have Miranda Rinker part 2 coming up here in a few laps. Tucker off of pit road, he's going to maintain the lead. It looks like Jorgensen, who's still on the track, I believe. Maybe he has pitted. He looks like he's got some speed. Was it Jorgensen making the biggest move through these pit stops?
Yeah, Jorgensen and Rinker pitted together. So Rinker actually came out in front of Jorgensen, but unfortunately Rinker with that damage, so it seems like he wasn't able to get it all repaired. Jorgensen going to come up just short there, but you see right there going into 3, Jorgensen giving up a lot of time to Tucker.
Yeah, well, Jorgensen and Rinker pitting back on, lap 25, 26, and the rest of these guys on like 35 or so. So there's a big difference there, and this is all strategy. I'm not so sure it's going to work out. They might need an extra stop or at least an extra long stint along the way, bro.
His concern there was Zach Rinker. He came in as soon. Oh, he's into the wall right there too. A little bit Rinker into the wall out of 2 there. My biggest concern with that is, I thought he was coming in to get some of that damage repaired, but obviously did not stay in the pits long enough to get it repaired. And then again, we saw right there hitting the wall. So Rinker, this could be a disastrous night for him. Bad strategy along with just, having to deal with the damage that he has on that race car.
Well, let's have a look at Mario Miranda getting around Zach Rinker just to see if there's any continuation from the earlier incident, we see him here on the high side. He's going to get a huge run. It looks like he's going to pass him on a straightaway here, so no issue there with the pass. Rinker coming down the track a little bit, squeezing him, and I think Miranda anticipated that way down the track.
Thing to note, kind of a fun dig, if you will, especially with Mother's Day just ending out. We're seeing in the chat that Edward Tucker, I would assume relation to Dalton Tucker, saying that Dalton still can't outrun his mom. So, there might be an even faster member of the family here that we haven't seen yet.
Absolutely. We hear about Dalton's mom a lot. She likes to put that pedal down to the floor out on those highways. We got to get her out here in one of these cars. I think she might be a force.
That would be great. I mean, we gotta set one of these up. A nice little fun deal. I think a lot of racers would get a kick out of that. Just having a night where it's just about fun.
Yeah, a little family night or something would be quite interesting to see. Let's hop on board with Dalton Tucker here. Just have a look at what he's doing as we get into our replacement racing league.
Dalton Tucker.
You're cutting in and out, Brad, so sometimes you don't hear me talking, but a little suggestion over live air, run that Discord as an admin. It'll clear that right up. Right now we ride along with Dalton Tucker in the 82, and just watch his line here. Dalton's so smooth, so good on the long run. He's got speed plus long run speed. Very difficult to beat.
Just so smooth on the wheel, and that's really what it's going to be able to take. It's a matter of just smoothness to be able to keep those tires underneath him. He's going to continue to run the top line, and you see him. He comes in on that seam, and that car violently goes to the top. It's only a matter of modulating the throttle that he's able to get it back down to the bottom. It's just very interesting to see. You think his car's running the best and everything, but if we're watching the seams on the racetrack, especially in 1 and 2, it's not really getting through, and in 3 and 4, he's running at the bottom, and that's one thing that we've not seen a lot of these guys doing. They're committing to the top. They're not necessarily running 2 different lines in 2 different corners.
Right, and I think that's the key. The 2 different lines, 2 different corners, that is the key to this track nowadays. They are distinctly different. The high line working so great in 1 and 2, the low line working really quite decent in 3 and 4. I think it saves you a little bit of tire, and you can get through the corner a touch better when done correctly. Dalton Tucker doing that great. Let's look in on Miranda. Now Miranda, you can see riding the high line in both corners. He's going to swoop down low here, so much different line through 3 and 4. Excellent line, excellent job, just slightly different from Tucker.
Yeah, that's one of those things I've always kind of wondered about. If you're going to run the top side and then, kind of mid-corner, swoop down to the bottom, but then let the car push back to the top side, are you really saving any tire? Are you kind of burning up a little bit more? Because you got to sit there and assume that allowing the car to travel back to that top side, you're kind of just scrubbing off the speed that you would have already had versus, putting in that little bit extra wheel, kind of getting it down to that middle lane.
Yeah, I mean, those are great points. It's hard to say for certain, but I think you're probably onto something there. As Casey Knighton here gets around Matt Jorgensen, so put Knighton back up to third. And the 84, a relative newcomer here, part of Dark Horse Racing, Brad. This 84, man, he's going to be a threat in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And just correction, that's going to be Jacob Jorgensen there in the 44. He's having a great night tonight. Started 13th, currently in the 4th place position. And he's one of the cars that he did pit early. Now remember, he did pit early with Zach Rinker, so he's going to have about 10 to 12 lap older tires than Casey Knighton. But at the same time, he's going to have to come in about 10 laps earlier.
A little update from the chat there with Edward Tucker talking about Dalton's mom and getting her out here racing, maybe. He says, be careful what you wish for. I don't know. I think the threats, the gauntlet's been thrown down, Brad.
Absolutely. I mean, hey, we've seen it through this entire series. We've seen the support that Mario Marin is getting from his family and everything in the chat. I think it would be one of those things where, hey, let's just have fun and bring some of these families together. And that's what this is really all about. Racing's always been about inclusiveness with families and getting, just out here and everybody having a good time. And, we're definitely having that tonight, broadcasting these guys But what can you really say? Dalton Tucker, I mean, he's up as almost 6 seconds on Mario Miranda. Mario's probably a little bit grateful his mom's not here. Whoa, looks like Mullins very loose right there in front of the 84 Casey Knight.
Yeah, Mullis down there, way down on the apron now, right in front of Knighton, like you just mentioned, and good for him for getting out of the way there. Ryan's struggling a little bit here tonight. Up in front of him, it's actually behind on the track, but in front on the standings, that's Benjamin Walters having a bit of a rough go here as well. There's Jason Wiley in 13th with Chipman up in 14th, Dennis Warren's 11th, Ishkannon up to 10th now, and he just made his way around. I'm not sure who that was. That's Dakota Wilson there, who is doing a great job. Ishkannon up to 9th. Matt Jorgensen is in 8th. Rinker in 7th. And man, talk a little bit about Rinker's night, Brad. I mean, this has got to be a huge disappointment here for this man driving the Krispy Kreme car.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, you sit there, he had one of the fastest practice speeds. Yeah, the top 5, top 4 qualifying speed. We saw he had plenty of speed on the racetrack, got involved in a little bit of an incident there with Mario Miranda, where Miranda did not give him the room that he needed. Miranda ultimately drifted up the track a little bit into the 60, put the 60 into the wall. He just has not been able to recover, and you see the side of that 60 all bent up, and I got to sit there and think that the aero and everything is just not working on that car. He's probably a little bit down on speed as well. So another one of those nights where Rinker came in to try to get a little bit of a, advantage, try to pull back some of those points, but ultimately Mario Miranda, he's going to pull away a little bit from here, and I think I don't see anything happening here. We're 51 laps into it. I think we're going to be caution free the entire night. And unfortunately, Rinker's going to continue to fall back into this field with that damage. As it looks like Rinker's actually coming to pit road right now.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that we are approaching that time now, lap 52 of 125. So he pitted on lap 26. Here he is on 52. This is his strategy. He's going for a 4-stopper. This is a tough decision, especially seeing how he's losing time on the track instead of gaining it on these shorter runs.
Yeah, I just don't think this is going to work for him. I think this is more out of desperation than anything. I think he needs to caution, really. He needs to get back on the lead lap. He needs to get cycled through. He needs to caution. He needs to be able to come down, spend 30, 40 seconds to get that car repaired. Because right now he's just trying to use, an additional set of tires, if you will. They started with 6 sets in the pit road. I just don't see it working. I mean, currently right now track temp is up to 128, so it's actually 3 degrees higher than what it was we started in. So they're not going to get handling any better, as we're going to about to see Dalton Tucker come by Zach Rinker to put him an additional lap down.
Yeah, up front. That's unfortunate for Rinker. I mean, he is just really struggling. That damage, I think, just doing a whole lot of ill to that car as Tucker continues to lead now 6.3 seconds over second place Mario Miranda. You see him there, and you see the distance is just it's a big distance up to Tucker there. You can't really see Tucker on the screen, but he also has a big gap back to third and Casey Knighton. So I mean, Mario's leading the points. He's got to be pretty content running second. I mean, I maybe the wrong term, Brad. I don't think Mario Miranda's ever content with second place.
No, but he's doing exactly what he needs to do as far as the championship's concerned. And
as again, Brad has cut out, so we're having some serious technical difficulties back on that end. But it's Tucker, Miranda, Knighton, Wyatt, and Warren's battling it out. Now Warren's, Wyatt, and Knighton are really starting to tighten up here. We could have a battle as Jacob Jorgensen heads down pit road. Now he pitted back on around lap 26 as well, so stretching it out a bit this time to 30 laps.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is going to be what he needs. I mean, again, kind of the same thing we were just talking about there when it came to Zach Rinker. Oh, it's actually the 44 overslides his box, having to back it up even more, not going to do it, going 2 stalls back. Oh man, this is a disaster. He still hasn't gotten to the pit road. Now he's finally into his pit box.
Wow, Jacob Jorgensen in the 44 having all kinds of problems on pit road. That's going to be a little bit of heartbreak for him, and it'll give an opportunity to others, of course, as Tucker continues to keep this lead here over Miranda. We look in on Miranda, just doing his thing. So much room on the track, but let's get to where the battles are. You got Knighton, Wyatt right behind him, and Warren's closing in. Robert Warren's really one of your early picks, if you will, from his strat, his ability to do on the long run and everything, and he's just looking rock solid out here.
Yeah, and you know what? He's running the bottom. He's on both sides running the bottom. He's been consistent, uh, reeling in the guys in front of him. You see a little bit of wiggle down there on the backstretch, and you will get that. And Dean, kind of, you've ran this track, you've experienced that. How much of what we call a tank slapper can you really get on these straightaways?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed so much. I mean, it was always a bottom feeder track for me. I love Atlanta. This new Highline thing, I think the only guy here who's really figured it out is Tucker. It's two different corners now, so you're going to have to run 1 and 2 on the high and 3 and 4 on the low. Now, if you're on the low and 3 and 4, you can get a tremendous runoff, and you can save tires by easing on that throttle. The old eggshell under the throttle where you just kind of roll that egg forward and back. That's how you want to get through that corner. You get through there, and you can flat foot it. You can get right on the gas in full and get out of that corner for about 10 laps, but it's going to kill your tires, Brad.
Yeah, absolutely. And we kind of talked about it, low line versus high line. I'm looking at Robert Warrens right now, and he was one of my favorites just because of the fact that, to me, I looked at the short field. I figured, hey, long run speed, that's what you're going to need here. And, we look in on his lap times right now, and he's mirroring Dalton Tucker and Mario Miranda. Definitely one of the faster cars on this racetrack. Even if we go back to the 60 of Zach Rinker, Rinker running a 32.84 right now. And Warren's running a 33.60. The difference is about 30 lap difference in tires. So I don't see Rinker's ploy here, pitting early. Jacob Jorgensen, same deal, pitting very early versus somebody like where you're going to have a Robert Warren's running late, tracking down Shane Wyatt right now. He's going to pull right up to the back of that race car, about 2 or 3 car lengths from the back of Shane Wyatt right here at the end of this run.
Yeah, and he did this last run. I mean, Wyatt's kind of running down Knighton, and Warren's is running down Wyatt. So these guys, they're staying about this distance apart as they kind of mirror times here. Out front, you see Knighton was all kinds of wiggling there. But these three, I think, are going to come together here and have a little battle. But pit stops are imminent.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where I want to be in the ear of Robert Warrens and say, pit early. That's what you need. You need to get 2 laps fresher tires than the guys in front of you, because by the time they catch you, you're going to be faster because you have the longer run car.
Yeah, I mean, you do want to get in these guys' ears and talk strategy, but, Robert Warrens, let's focus on him for a minute. Robert, he is not going to pit early in my estimation, Brad. It's just not his makeup, right? He's the long run guy. He's going to get out here. And what I would encourage someone to do is go beyond the long run, right? I know that doesn't look like there'll be a caution, but why not? Get out here, lead a lap, and hope and pray maybe you get a caution in those 2 or 3 extra laps you do.
Well, keep in mind, though, Dalton Tucker's ran it long every single time, and I think he's running it to the max. Remember, these guys only have 65% fuel load, as we just see right there. Robert Warren's kind of snaking it down the backstretch again. These guys are starting to get very loose on the straightaways on that backstretch.
Yeah, and that's a little bit odd, on the straightaway seems to be giving them more problem than the corners, but that can happen here at Atlanta. And Warrens continues to make progress here, chasing down Shane Wyatt.
Yeah, that is one thing. We're seeing the guys kind of having a little bit of problems on the straightaways. It's more of those guys running on the bottom, and that's because of weight transfer coming off those corners. We talked about tank slap earlier, if you will. And that's just a matter of the transfer of the weight when they get back out of that banking of the corner from being on the bottom, and it's an aggressive amount of weight kind of going back and forth, and it'll cause these guys to kind of sway. They're having to really catch the race car going on the straight line, where if you're running that top side, that weight transfer isn't nearly as bad as it is on the bottom. As you see right now, Robin Warren's trying to work to the bottom of the four. Shane Wyatt continuing to be on the top side. And it's really here when you see it, he's kind of pinched down and you see the car just start to travel a little bit.
Yeah, it's very difficult to make this pass. You can't extend all the way out to that wall. Here he goes, though. Warren's trying to power on through. I think he's going to clear him. And that's 3 and 4. That's the different corners. You can't do it in 1 and 2, but you can do it in 3 and 4. Warren's figured that corner out. And we just only wish we could get more guys to run 2 different corners 2 different ways.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, guys sit there and they think, I've got my car set up to run the top. I got it set up to run the bottom, or I'm just more comfortable here or there. And sometimes you just got to kind of change it up a little bit because that's where the speed is.
Well, speaking of speed, let's look in on our leader, Dalton Tucker, in the 82 from the hometown of Warner Robins. Tucker just unbeatable here right now, as Miranda now 7 seconds back of him. He's doing a really nice job. He's got a lot of speed. It's just Tucker on another level right now.
Yeah, Tucker definitely asserted himself during this race. And, it's one of those things where it's very odd that you can find a gentleman that, he's going to be lightning fast as soon as we stop the green flag, but at the same time, save enough in his car and not overdo it to where he can run the long run. And that's exactly what Dalton Tucker's doing tonight.
He absolutely is. Big shout out to Casey Knighton in third, though part of Dark Horse Racing. This 84 has been very impressive. We only call on him to show his position and to show how great he's running. Never calling on him for, accidents or aggressive riding or anything. I think Casey Knighton, a huge plus to this league. Wyatt is coming in, so the 4 car down pit road. Shane Wyatt, the first in out of our leaders. We continue watching Mario Miranda here in the 99 down pit road. So Miranda is in. I imagine that's going to bring Tucker in. Let's see. We'll ride with him here and watch. And I think you'll see him come in this lap.
Yeah, I expect him to come in. We saw this last time. Dalton Tucker mirroring whatever Mario Miranda did. And he was able to gain a little bit of time on him last time. So it seems that way. He's going to be in on the brakes heavy, get down into pit road speed, get right to his pit stop.
Yeah, great job getting in there. And we continue to have issues with the microphone. We'll get those sorted out at some point. Miranda now off of pit road. And, he's got that 1 lap. Can he pull in? He was about 7 seconds back when he came in. Let's see how he gets off of pit road here. Looks like he's pushing for all he's worth.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've seen all season long. Mario Miranda is one of the best drivers as far as getting back off of pit road. And I mean, from the commitment cone on, he is not afraid to flat track it around the bottom of these aprons, really putting everything he can into getting back onto this racetrack.
Absolutely. So there's Miranda. Tucker coming off of pit road as we speak. He is going to lose some time. Miranda did make up a bunch of time here, under 5 seconds, I believe, back. So Miranda, with a great pit stop here, is going to bring this gap down to under 4 seconds here very briefly. What a job by him. Right now on the track, it's Ishkannon leading this race as he still has not pitted. Robert Chipman just coming in now. So Brandon Ishkannon, your new leader, part of Mediocre Motorsports.
Absolutely. And, you talked about it earlier, stay out a little bit later, try to get that lap led. And that's exactly what Ishkannon's going to do right here. The 25, he's going to come to pit road right now. He knows he can't stay out too long in that old remake of the old Dale Jr. paint scheme coming to pit road. He's going to hand the lead back over to Dalton Tucker. Dalton Tucker going to take command of this. He's going to actually only be about 4.5 seconds back to Mario Moreno, 390 actually.
Yeah, 390. I mean, just a great job. Let's take a look in on these pit times, and we'll get a pit lap time, or pit lane time, I should say. Just see where Miranda made up this time. You see the stop about 0.6 seconds faster on the stop. The pit lane time, another 0.6 seconds there. So, I mean, I got to think he made it up on exit. He seemed to be so aggressive on that exit that time.
Now, Mario Miranda doing exactly what he needs to do, being very aggressive. And Dalton Tucker, I think he's doing exactly what he needs to do too, though. I mean, you got to understand, when you got a race in hand, we've seen this before in the past, race in hand, pit road, penalty, out of the race. I mean, that's really what you got to deal with. So put the pressure on the guy chasing you. Make him do everything he can, where if he steps a wheel outside of a line, he gets the penalty, the race is over for him, versus you giving away the race.
Yeah, and I think you called that, Brad. I think that's exactly probably what happened with Dalton Tucker. He thought, I am not throwing this race away. A little tentative on, a little tentative off. Oh, and Dakota Wilson, all kinds of squirrely right around Mario Miranda there as these cars continue to give people fits.
Yeah, they really do. And I mean, you see on the racetrack, Dalton Tucker has been faster every time than Mario Miranda, and you see it right now. He's been able to kind of pull away just a little bit from Mario Miranda, already back up to a 4.2 second lead as Dalton Tucker is just kind of moving away from him.
And we'll just see. Let's look in on Miranda here and just see if he's learned anything, maybe made some adjustments in 3 and 4, and it doesn't look like it. Still riding that high line, kind of swooping down to the middle on exit here. I don't think he's made any adjustments to that turn at this point, Brad.
No, he really hasn't. But you know what? At the same time, he's not racing Dalton Tucker. I mean, we're on the same track. Don't get me wrong. He's racing that 60 at Zach Rinker. Zach Rinker currently 2 laps down. He knows he comes in second place tonight. Solid points tonight. Extends his lead. He's looking for championships. He's not looking for trophies.
Yeah, and Rinker in the 60, he's just got to be fuming here tonight. Had that incident with Miranda. Now back here, mired in 12th spot. And just that car is not the same. He is not going anywhere. He's all kinds of frustrated out here.
Well, and what happened is we're looking at all this wrong. We didn't even see it because, green flag pit stops were still going on. Zach Rinker pitted a lap ago. A lap 75, like clockwork, 25 laps in, he pitted. So he is on the freshest of tires. The problem is his tires are only 5 laps fresher.
Yeah. Right now we look in on Robert Warren's part of Replacement Racing Motorsports in the 59, and he's doing his thing out here, up 7 spots on the night. Now looking in again, chasing Knighton and Wyatt, and can Warren's get up to 3rd? Does he have to do this every run, Brad?
It's starting to seem like that way. I mean, he came in, he was in front of Shane Wyatt for the end of that run. He's 3 seconds back almost. He's given up 3 seconds every time he comes into the pit stop. I don't know if it's a matter of, getting in and out of the pit lane. That might be one thing that we need to look at. Or if it's just a matter of just really taking those tires and really being conservative early. I mean, maybe another 10, 15% of aggression early on might be the difference. But you know what? Who am I to judge? It's worked for him every race this season since Auto Club.
We have our little pit strategy board up here, and you can see here Warren's pitting on 71, Tucker on 71, Knighton on 71. So this guy's all very similar. Wyatt on 69. Then you got Jorgensen and Wilson. They're way back on 62 and 61. I mean, they're almost ready for another pit stop, Brad.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened with Rinker. They started that pit sequence so early, lap 25, lap 50. Then they kept lap 75, where they're on their 3rd pit stop. So some of these guys are only on their 2nd. Right now, almost 3 wide they're going through with right there with the 59 of Warrens and Casey Knighton trying to get around, looks like the 90 there of Dennis Warrens.
Yeah, Warrens and Warrens there coming close, and Warrens continuing to work towards Casey Knighton. Knighton having a nice run. I mean, I'm really impressed. Of course, with Tucker and Miranda, that goes without saying, but Wyatt has been impressing me forever, and Knighton, it just looks super solid. Robert Warren's really doing his thing. Just these three guys right here, rock solid.
Oh, they really are. And that's one of those things where, I mean, just look up and down the field. You see really where it is. Dalton Tucker, he's that 1%er, if you will. He's that guy that, they're just special. Martin Miranda, he's right there with him, just a shade off, if you will. But then you get all the other guys. You get Shane Wyatt, Casey Knighton, Robert Warrens, the guys that we don't call I don't want to say they're not elite because they're definitely great race car drivers, but one of those guys that is just like freaking nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, Warren's continuing to work on Knighton. Ahead of them, Wyatt right there. I mean, this is a mirror image of the last run. Warren's a little bit more ahead, I think, than he was last time, but he is not having any luck getting around, the likes of Casey Knighton. Now, we remember back to last week, Brad, and we talked about Warren's. You're very timid. He doesn't seem too timid tonight, but it kind of plagues him a little bit with these passes. He really takes his time. He's very patient. Great for the league. Great league racer, but I'd like to see maybe a touch more aggression out of that 59.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we talked about it. He's very aggressive, very gentleman's driver, if you will. But the problem is I believe he's got fresher tires than the 84. That's the only reason why the 84 is in front of him. That's the only reason why Shane Wyatt's in front of him. He passed these guys on the last thing. He's got to be aggressive and get around them while his tires are the better tires, because all they do is they hold him up, and the next thing you know, he doesn't have any better, fresher tires. It looks like he's going to be able to get by one of them. Now he's going to be able to set his sights on Shane Wyatt. He's just that ever so little bit more aggression. But I like the fact that he's running different corners. He's on the bottom of the racetrack. He is working different lines of the racetrack.
Absolutely. And he showed a little aggression there. And just an update on the tires, both Knighton and Warren's pitting on the same lap on 71. So any fresher tires he has is simply from his driving and his ability to save tire, which we know he can do. And here he sets his sights now on the 4. And you can see behind him, Knighton's starting to push that car a little bit extra.
Yeah, I believe, I'm sorry, you're right. I believe Shane Wyatt's got about 6 to 8 laps older tires than Robert Warren's.
Let's have a quick look before we contradict you. So 69 for Wyatt, 71 for Warren, so a couple of laps. I mean, the only big guys were in the top 10 or top 8 are going to be Jorgensen and Wilson back on lap 62 and 61, respectively.
Yeah, as you see right there, though, Robert Warren's able to just pull right to the back of the 4 of Shane Wyatt. Shane Wyatt, he's going to run the top side. Oh, Warren's is actually, I like this. Warren's doing something different, running the middle of the racetrack. He hasn't done that. I expected him, he's going to drop down to the bottom. He's definitely going to be at the bottom of 1 and 2. We've seen that all race long. Shane Wyatt might go to the bottom to try the block. It's going to be interesting to see what the 59 is going to do here.
That was highly interesting. Wyatt trying to take the air off of him. Warren's thinking he was going to do it again. Stayed up there. He's looking to get a good run here. They're going to be side by side here coming down into corner 3.
Oh, it's not even close. You saw the exit there. You saw the 59. You saw the grip that car got on the exit. He's going to be able to get to the center of the corner here, and he's just going to pull away from Shane Wyatt. Shane Wyatt going to try to do the undertake, but it's not quite going to get there, as I expect the 59 to be able to pull away, get right back down to the bottom, and just kind of march away from the 4 of Shane Wyatt.
So Warren's here at the end of this run, once again doing his thing. We're on lap 91 of 125. Pit stops are imminent. Any lap now, I expect Mario Miranda to be coming in. We get a look in on him. He continues to ride that high line through 1 and 2. Very nice line there. He's going to get a big toe here from that looks like the 44, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Jacob Jorgensen was having a really nice run tonight. Had those troubles on pit road. He is mired back in 14th spot now.
Yeah, the problem with Jorgensen though is, if we're going to look at these, he's doing 25 lap stints. He's doing the exact same thing that Zach Rinker's doing. Now in 8 laps, Jorgensen and Rinker, they're going to be into pit. Everybody else, Dalton Tucker, if I, jump in on him, he's doing, looks like he pitted on lap 36, and then he came back in on 72. So he's doing 36 lap stints. He's got at least another 15 to 20 laps before he comes back in. But the 44, Rinker, who's right in front of Dalton Tucker, our leader right now, he's going to come in 7 laps. It's just not the strategy that they needed tonight.
Yeah, I might have been off on my pit call as pit stops being imminent. Doesn't look like they're too imminent quite yet. But some of the other guys, who pitted on lap 61, let's bring up our pit board one more time here. So guys pitting on lap 61 and 62, you got to think they're ready to come in now. That'd be Wilson and Jorgensen.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys are going to be right there at the end. You got to figure 36 laps is going to be the maximum. That's what Dalton Tucker's doing. That's what Mario Miranda's doing, those guys. At the short end of the stick, if you will, that's going to be 25. That's going to be Zach Rinker. That's going to be the 44 of Jacob Jorgensen. A couple of guys in between there, but most of them more on that 34 to 36 strategy.
So we look back here, you got Warrens, then Wyatt and Knighton. These three continuing. Warren's pulling away a little bit, but not much. Wyatt and Knighton hanging in. Knighton's starting to hound Wyatt here.
Oh, it's right there. We saw a big slide out of Mario Miranda on that exit of turn 2, and I was just getting ready to say, what do you got to do when you're somebody like a Dalton Tucker, you're somebody like a Mario Miranda? You're the class of the field right now. Miranda, 6 seconds back from Tucker. We saw he was able to cut that lead in half. As actually Mario Miranda, you called it earlier, to pit road right now, lap 95. He's going to try to do an undercut here.
All right, that'll leave him with 31 laps right on schedule. This is what he wants for the end. He's going to short pit a little bit compared to Tucker. I love the call. I don't know what you do if you get the lead, how you throw some blocks perhaps, but very interesting. Miranda down on pit road, he's in clean, and we expect him to get off clean as well. That's going to put Warren's up to second place now, so Robert Warren's looking good, but our leader, Dalton Tucker, out here trying to impress his mother, as hard as that might be. He's doing a heck of a job in the 82.
Oh, shoot. You ask some people, and his mom hasn't even left the driveway yet, but already won. But it's going to be very interesting to see exactly what Tucker's going to do. Is he going to come down pit road early just to match Mario Miranda, or is he going to continue to stay on the racetrack and just kind of log some laps and kind of put it up there? Because this is a strategy. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but at the same time, Mario Miranda is currently shown 1 lap down. So if we do get a caution, it could trap Mario Miranda a lap down. At the same time, Dalton Tucker is just going to hemorrhage a little bit of lap time every single lap to Mario Miranda. We assume he's going to get it back at the end of his run when he does make his pit stop, but you just don't know.
Yeah, well, regardless how it shakes out, I like it for Miranda because I'm just a big proponent of doing something different. You can't win by matching a guy, on his pit stops who's 10 seconds ahead of you. There's nothing. So he's gotten in here. He's given himself a shot. If he can get the lead or, very close to him after Tucker pits, then, who knows? A caution comes out and bam, you're right in this thing. But right now, man, Tucker continuing to ride, and he is looking dominant.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100% on the assessment of Miranda. He literally had nothing to lose. He was 5 seconds, 6 seconds back from Dalton Tucker. He had an additional 14 seconds on the second place car. He knows, hey, I come to pit road, I get 4 fresh tires, I try to make up time. Even if the caution flag comes out, I'm the first car 1 lap down. I get the lucky dog. I'm back on the lead lap. He does exactly what he needs to do, and I like that. Right now I'm hearing it sounds like Dalton Tucker's going to come to pit road. He's going to come to pit road about 3 laps later than Mario Miranda. Will that be enough for Miranda to close the gap?
I think it will. I mean, there's a pretty big difference. Tucker late on entry. That's a really solid entry there. That's exactly how it should be done. Tucker cleanly on pit road. I don't think you'll see any problems from the 82. We go in and check Miranda. Miranda just going by pit road now. He's got to come all the way around during Tucker's pit stop. And he's really pushing this car for all it's worth. He comes down the back straight here, headed into 3. Tucker still in his stall.
Yep, they're just around to the left sides on Dalton Tucker. Jack is in. Dalton Tucker getting continuing service. He's getting ready to pull away. He's pulling away right now. He's going to be at the cone, so it's going to be very close on which one's going to be having the lead coming down the back stretches. Miranda's entering turn 1 now.
Here comes Miranda. Tucker, there's Miranda on the high side. He's coming hard. He is going to get the lead. A great job by the 99, Mario Miranda, going to take this lead away from Dalton Tucker. As temporary as it might be, a fluke caution here, and he will have this lead.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, how temporary is this? We've seen this earlier in the season where one car's been able to get out front and just kind of pull away. Will Dalton Tucker be able to close the distance back to Mario Miranda? And you know what? Let's not count that out. Let's give this man his due. Shane Wyatt in that 4 car, able to lead a couple of laps here at Atlanta tonight.
Absolutely. Part of Lights Out Esports from Danville, Virginia, I believe. I'm not very good with my short forms for states, but here comes Wyatt after leading a lap. I love that he stayed out, got that point, led that lap. Right now, let's get...
I'm sorry to cut you off. We might have a caution here. It looks like Mario Miranda. We need to see a replay of this, of the 60 of Zach Rinker and Mario Miranda. I believe there was some retribution being handed out there.
Let's get a look in on that incident.
It totally
Zach, here's the 60 of Rinker. He's riding around. Here comes Miranda. Traffic everywhere. Oh, and a left turn. Wow. That looked very, very intentional.
Yes, I got to say, that was very uncharacteristic of the 60. Frustration's definitely showing through tonight.
My goodness, the 60, all kinds of upset. Here we are 100 laps later. He still was upset. I don't blame him for being upset. The intentional stuff, I'm not too sure of. Meanwhile, we have missed the pass for the lead. Let's get a look in on Dalton Tucker regaining the lead here.
Miranda's car is here.
So here you see he is all over Miranda already, just a couple laps after this pit stop. Down here to the inside, pretty easily making this pass. Of course, we don't know what kind of damage Miranda suffered from that Rinker incident, but there you go. There's Tucker taking over the lead.
Yeah, I got to sit there and kind of think, I don't want to put it out there, but Miranda's damage is pretty much what Rinker's damage was. He's already lost over a second to Dalton Tucker as he's continuing to pull away from him. It looked like a couple of cars were able to get by as well. So, Mario Miranda, I don't want to say it was the same or anything like that, but definitely suffering some damage and a little bit of hostility throughout the night. But what I do not want to take away from is that 59 of Robert Warren started 12th tonight, 3rd position, last car in the lead lap, continuing to just put in that work and try to solidify a top 3 finish tonight.
Yeah, let's just see. Tucker cannot be far behind him at this point. No, he's right there. He is looking to put 3rd place a lap down. This 82, unbelievable tonight. Perhaps thinking about trying to lap the field. He'd have a lot of work to do to come around and lap Miranda, but get a lap up to 3rd place. My goodness.
Yeah, and Warren's only pitted about 5 laps ago, so Warren's has still got very good tires and whatnot, but we've seen absolute dominance of that 82 of Dalton Tucker tonight. Just doing everything you can, and you're watching right now, Dalton Tucker continuing to run the racetrack in 2 different groups, which is exactly what I think, and you agree with me, needs to be done. 2 different corners, doing exactly what he do. He continues to run the high side in 1 and 2. You get down in 3 and 4, you see him cut down to the bottom of the racetrack and just making the best out of his tires. And I think that has something to do with the way he's just running tonight, running away from things.
Oh, it absolutely does. I mean, there's no doubt, even if they're all running the same line, Tucker, really a great driver. But this is the key. I talked about it a while back when we were on this track, and, it doesn't seem that many people on the surface, on the service, period, let alone this league, have, garnered that information. But Tucker, the professional that he is, he has, and he is just dominating. We see Miranda so far back, full straightaway already, now down 5 seconds. I mean, he has got a huge gap to third. He should be safe with second. Huge points night. Zach Rinker back in 10th, so Miranda going to open up a lead here.
Yeah, Miranda, unfortunately with that damage, currently about 4.5, 5.5, lost a second that lap to our leader, Dalton Tucker. Definitely some significant damage to that race car. Not the end of the night he wanted, but it's going to be definitely make it next week interesting, as we're going to have a little bit more of a rift, if you will, from our top two on our point standing.
Definitely, it's only going to heat things up. Hopefully, no serious penalties inflicted. We want to see this battle continue the rest of the season, but you never know. These things do incur their penalties. But you can see there, Tucker, last 5 laps, roughly a second per lap faster than Miranda.
Yeah, definitely not what he wanted to see, but it's going to do exactly what he needed to do. Is it looks like Rinker's going to be currently 2 laps down in the 10th position. I don't really see him being able to make up any spots from there. Miranda going to extend that lead, but Dalton Tucker, the man of the hour, continually making his way through a lot of traffic right now. A lot can happen during this traffic.
Oh, it really can, and he's got Casey Knighton down on the low side, who's chasing Robert Warren. So Knighton is trying to get up there to Tucker. I'm not sure he can do that, but Tucker's going to come up on Warren's here shortly, and it looks like Knighton has thoughts of perhaps trying to follow him through and pick that spot up.
It's interesting. We talked about it. Even you just said it right there. Tucker's going to come up on Warren's. Warren's just kind of pulled away a little bit. Warren's just kind of put a little distance between himself and Dalton Tucker. Dalton Tucker may not, he'd be trying to challenge that. He's looking at the lead. He's got over Mario Miranda, extend again another second. He doesn't need to get up and pass Robert Warren's to be able to win this race. He might just be managing his race, and that's exactly all he needs to do right now.
Well, he might be, but we've seen this before out of Warren's. Matter of fact, the first time we ever really accounted of Robert Warren's was when he was going to go a lap down. He had older tires than the leader, and out of nowhere, he just took off. He said, enough of this. I'll show you what I got. And he pulled away from our leader.
Yeah, he really did. And right now, our leader is dealing right now. He has got that, I believe it's the 19 of Ryan Mullins. The 13 of Jason Wiley. Currently 3 laps down, but you know what? He wouldn't know it by the looks of he is all over the back of that 82 of Dalton Tucker. So Dalton Tucker not on the Sunday drive, not quite yet.
Well, it looks like perhaps Wiley learning a little bit here, right? And this is what you should do. If there's a fast guy out there, you go out there and try and mimic what he's doing. And we'll see here. That was 1 and 2 on the high side. Will he follow Tucker's line here through 3 and 4? And it looks like that's exactly what he's attempting to do. He is running the same line, meaning 2 corners, 2 different lines, Brad.
Yeah, and his lap time is definitely showing that as well. And a lot of these guys, next time they go to a track like this, they're going to do that. They've seen this. They've seen Dalton Tucker do exactly what he's doing. You got to sit there and think that Jason Wiley now on the next track, he's going to go, oh, well, maybe I need to run different lines in different corners. And that's exactly how everybody gets better on this series.
Absolutely. And Wiley, to talk about him a little bit, this is a very good race car driver. He might be struggling a little bit tonight, but this man can really wheel it. So the 13 here picking up a little bit from Tucker here, and it's paying off. I mean, Tucker hasn't really moved, but maybe a half car length from him.
Yeah, and he really doesn't have to. I mean, he's protecting the lead that's growing. I mean, Mario Miranda almost 10 seconds back. I mean, that damage really taking its toll.
It is, and we're down to 9 to go. Dalton Tucker, your leader. Miranda second. Warren's third. Knighton in fourth. And Shane Wyatt holding on to fifth place. We got a couple of lap cars here in front of our leader. This could be his last little thing here. Or not. We've got Robert Warren's actually right in that mix, still hanging on in front of our leader as he works by the 60 of Zach Rinker. Or that's not the, is that Rinker there? Yes, indeed, it is Rinker on the low side here as these guys come on through. So Wiley's still following through, and it's interesting to see him. Wiley in 10th place here, you know, making up some time. I think, yes, that was a battle for position for him with Rinker. So Rinker back to 11th.
Yeah, I think what you might see next week is Wiley, you know, during practice, he's going to go right on the back of Dalton Tucker and just see how to run the track.
It's a great idea. I mean, anybody out there, you want to learn, well, how is this guy qualifying this well? How is this guy in practice 4/10 faster than me? Get in his car, get in the cockpit, watch some laps, and you'll probably learn something.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things you always want to do, you know, go to the guy on the speed charts and go ahead and jump in their cockpit and see where they're turning in. See, you know, can't necessarily know exactly where they're letting off because iRacing does a deal where it doesn't give away all of the secrets, if you will. But it definitely does give you an idea of what you need to do. Is right now, the 82 of Dalton Tucker pulling up on the back of Robert Warren's our third place car, looking to put the third place car one lap down tonight.
Yeah, amazing. Warren's going to try and hang on here. I don't know if he'll give up this spot or hang on. I think pride will make him try and hang on here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think he might give him a little bit of a fight, but once he sees that it's inevitable, knowing the driver that Robert Warren says, he'll pull her out. Probably right here, you know, going into 3, he'll give him a little bit.
I wouldn't count on it, Brad. I don't know. I think the 59 is determined to stay on the lead lap, and I don't have any problem. But Tucker going to take it, even if it's not given to him.
Yeah, once he doesn't have his line here, you see right there, he backs out of it. You know, he's been running the bottom the entire night. He's going to race you hard. He's not going to give it to you, but once you got position, he's not going to fight you for it.
Yeah, very clean, very respectable driver.
Ooh, very loose.
He is a very loose, wobbly driver there down that straightaway. But Warren's with a great showing, sitting here in third right now. It's all about Tucker, though. Dalton Tucker now 12 seconds up on second place. You got 3 laps here to take this victory here at Atlanta, showing a little bit of muscle out here and putting people on notice for any future races.
Well, what that did, though, is that did show you Robert Warren's our third place competitor. He went through 1 and 2 different. He's never gone through 1 and 2 middle to top side of the racetrack like he had to do that time with Dalton Tucker. And you saw what that did to him on the backstretch. Completely changed the attitude of that race car. Very loose. So it really does tend to show you how much line sensitive these racetracks are and how you drive the track versus how loose and tight you are.
Yeah, exactly correct. You know, it's great to follow a guy and learn his line and everything, but with that comes different reactions from the car, the air, and all of that. So you'll have to learn that as well. Right now, Tucker coming down to 3 and 4, ready to take the white flag. White flag is down. 1 to go. The 82. Not much more we can say, Brad. Just a heck of a driver doing a great job tonight.
No, you really can't. As you know, we pull up a screenshot. We got another picture of I think Santa Claus is going to be tonight. It's Dalton Tucker.
Oh, and Tucker's pulling down. What? Tucker has pulled down the track. What is going on with the 82? He's coming down pit road, baby. He's on the apron. Is he out of gas? The 82 coming through 3 and 4 on a crawl.
No, I mean he sped it right back up. I don't know what
he might have been just letting Warren's get back on the lead lap. I don't know, but Dalton Tucker gonna take this victory in almost dramatic fashion there. Miranda gonna come home second. Here comes Warrens, who did get that lap back. He will finish on the lead lap, so maybe that's all it was about. Great job by the 59. That's your 1, 2, 3. Knighton will come home in fourth. Wyatt is going to be in fifth here. Then it's Jorgensen, Ishkanen, Wilson, Dennis Warrens, and Jason Wiley.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting because, he actually let the top 5 get back on the lead lap. Maybe somebody needed an additional lap to get by a teammate maybe or something like that. We're definitely going to have to ask that during our interview.
Yeah, I think it was just a little courtesy there to let these guys get on the lead lap. Not too sure, but sure did scare me. I thought he might be out of gas. What a way to lose that would have been. But the 82 here, burning them down as guys still finishing, coming through there. And what more, like I said, there's nothing more you can say about Tucker. This man is just a great driver, class act, and well-deserved victory tonight.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead, Brad, and we'll get into our results here, which we kind of already went through, but we'll have a look at them. You can see there, Tucker, Miranda, Warrens, Knighton, Wyatt, Jorgensen, Ishkanen, Wilson, Warrens, and Wiley, your top 10. Rinker falls down to 11th, and it's Walters, Chipman, Jorgensen, and Mullis. Some of these guys struggling a little bit tonight, and of course the drama surrounding Zach Rinker tonight. Wow, not too sure what the fallout will be from that.
Yeah, frustration's definitely boiling over there, and it's going to be interesting to see. We will talk to Mario Miranda, so it's going to be interesting what his take is on that. And then we'll have to see what exactly happens. These guys have had a heck of a battle the entire season here.
Absolutely, they have. Let's look and see the unofficial updated standings here. So you got Miranda, who was already in first. Doesn't look like it updated those points. We'll have to get that after we take a short break. We'll come back, we'll update those championship points, and we'll get words with our top 3 finishers.
North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison. His second win of 1987. Bill Elliott is going
welcome back here to the Elite Sim Racing Association. It's Clash Series here where Dalton Tucker put on a show. Brenda came in second, had a little controversy with Zach Rinker. We'll see how that plays out, Brad. But, when Tucker gets out front like this, he's real tough. And we've seen Miranda be able to deal with him in the past very impressively, but tonight just didn't have quite enough for him.
Oh no, absolutely. Dalton Tucker, ice in the veins. I mean, it seems like if he's able to get out front, he's able to pull away. That it's over. It doesn't matter what you do. Short pit, long strategy, short strategy. Doesn't matter. Dalton Tucker has you covered. And, I'm looking forward to these interviews. There's a lot of questions that I want answered, or at least a little bit of insight in. So, great race tonight. And what can you say? These guys really put on a show.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of those questions are going to get answered right now, Brad, as I'm sitting here with the 90 or the 59, I should say, of Robert Warren's third place finish tonight. What a great job, Robert. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. It was a good battle out there between Shane and Casey and I, and had a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, man. I mean, it looked like a lot of fun. First two runs at least, it was virtually mirror image of each other. You had to, wait your time and run these guys down. I think the first three runs you kept coming out behind them and have to run down and pass them. Talk a little bit about how you were doing that, how you were, maybe saving a little tire and getting them on these long runs.
Oh, you're exactly right. I was actually taking it easy because I don't have a lot of experience in this car or at this track. So I didn't want to, brush the wall and end the night early. So I rolled back my entry and I rolled back the center, and I was gentle on the exit. And I did that for the three runs. And then I was like, okay, these guys, they're pushing really hard at the start. And if I want to get ahead of them for that final run, I'm going to have to push hard too. So that ended up working out. I got ahead of them. I short pitted ahead of them. I lost the time in the pit because I was super gentle. Remember the last race, I was running really good, and I messed up my pit. So, the crew chief pulled me aside, and he's like, hey, you better work on your pit stops because you can't suck like that and throw away a good finish. So I got that last pit in, and then I was just as quick as Dalton at the end there, but I think I had a couple lap newer tires than him. So it was nice to be able to run with him to see that I could hold my own for a bit.
Oh, absolutely, you can hold your own, and you've proven that multiple times now. And talk a little bit about your racing line. So you said you're rolling back the corners a bit, but also really the only guy on the track running low in both ends. Do you think that had some advantage to tire saving, or was it just what you were comfortable with?
Yeah, I didn't feel as comfortable at the top running that close to the wall, and I felt those guys were burning up their tires a little bit more because you had to keep the car rolling faster and harder up high, and it's also the longer way around the track. So it just made sense to me. Just take it easy on the bottom, get the car pointed straight, and accelerate gently out. And it paid off in the longer run for sure. I was switching about halfway through on the first couple runs, and then the last run, I was like, I'm just going to stick it there and see what happens.
Absolutely. I thought you did just a great job out here, really all season long. We've been very impressed by your driving. Now, one thing we do often talk about is that, you're a great league racer, very courteous, very clean racer. We wonder, is there a time when we're going to see a little bit more aggression out of the 59?
I would say it's a 50-50. You really have to, ruffle my feathers to get me aggressive. I'd rather, have a strong finish and give a position than rub doors and bump and bang. I know a couple previous races, I did get a little upset at a couple of the guys, and I let them know, respectfully after the race is that's not how I race you, so don't race me like that, or, ultimately, payback is inevitable.
Absolutely. Love to hear it. You get raced how you are raced, whatever the saying is, Robert. I'm losing, but we look forward now. You got Talladega coming up next week. What are your thoughts on the super speedway? And of course, patience going to be a key there.
Yeah, but I'm not a huge fan of super speedways because it's plate racing. You got your foot flat all the time. So for me, I'm probably gonna hang at the back. Hopefully, find a pack of cars that we could offset pits with, and hopefully avoid the big one because that cliche that it's always going to happen and it does, and I just want to finish. So
Absolutely, Robert. Well, we hope for you to have better than just a finish. Future's bright, man. You're looking great. Congrats again on third place.
awesome. Thank you. Have a good night, gentlemen.
All right, Brad. That was third place. Robert Warren's doing just a great job tonight.
No, he really did. He did a great job tonight. But you know what? I'm standing by with our second place finisher. That's going to be the number 99 of Mario Miranda. Mario, man, you have been on a tear all season this week. I'm sorry, not this week, the season. But kind of talk us through tonight, and especially talk us through early on in the season. You've had a battle all season long with the 60th Zach Rinker. We saw tonight you really push it to the issue, get right up on his door, and going into turn 3, it seemed like you got maybe a little bit tight, got up into him. Kind of talk us through that.
Yeah, it's coming down to the final 4 races, and um, I guess I just wanted to apply the pressure. And I mean, I'm assuming he thought I would go to the bottom entering 3, like I would dive it down low and try to do a slide job, but I try to stay in the middle. And when I looked at it with my teammate, it looked like we kind of just both met at the same spot, looking for the same real estate. But it's getting dicey, and Dega's next week, and that's a best I can say is like I don't want to be next to him at Dega. That's for sure.
Absolutely, one of those things you talk about it getting a little bit of dicey. I mean, we saw it here live in the booth, and it seemed like you did kind of crowd him from the top side. We're not here to absolve blame or place blame or anything like that. That's definitely on the racetrack. But we did see later on in the race, it looked like maybe a little bit of retribution, if you will, kind of damaged your race car. Really just kind of talk about how it's just ramping up here. You talked about it yourself. We're coming down to the last 4. Definitely a points battle going here. Zach Rinker and you've been off and on, back and forth. What are you really looking for? How are you trying to close out the rest of the season?
It's just about consistency, and that whole backstretch incident definitely hurt him more than it hurt me. You just gotta get every point you can. That's why I pitted 7 laps earlier than Dalton Tucker on that last stop. So I would get ahead of him and just get that one bonus point for leading a lap. It's since our battle is between 8 points between the both of us. It's close, and every point counts.
Yeah, and kind of just allude to that. I mean, the addition of Dalton Tucker in this league here, he's been here for maybe 3, 4 races. He's really established himself as a front runner in this race. If we look at the entire series, nobody can say, what would he have done through the entire series, but how much of an asset or a value is it racing around somebody like the 82 of Dalton Tucker?
I love racing with Dalton. When I first came into ESRA, through the Thunder series, he was in his championship year, and he won 8 of the 10 races that year, and we're coming to the finale, and I was told Dalton Tucker's the guy to beat. And I always love racing the guy because he teaches me a lot. I can just sit behind him and see what he does, and it's just on and off of me and him for now. But yeah, he's super talented, and definitely this race he whooped my butt. That's for sure.
Well, I'm sure you'd appreciate those comments, but at the same time, next week you talked about it. Next week's Talladega, you're going to go into the race with kind of a mark on your back, at least when it comes to the 60th Zach Rinker. As you said, not as we picked it. But what is kind of your strategy going into it? Just stick with your teammates, a little bit of strategy. Go for the win. Are we just trying to walk out with a decent points night, or are we going for the win next week here at Talladega?
I think the main goal is just not to get in any trouble. Um, for some reason, with every league I run, I always get into some kind of trouble before a plate race. It's like a curse on me, and I always have a target on my back at these tracks. So I'm kind of used to it at this point. But I think the main goal, because I've been with Eloise so long, our goal is to get in a group of our own, our 4 cars, and kind of sit in the front or sit in the back because those are the only places that are safe. And as we did in Daytona for the first couple 20 laps with me, Shane, and Jack Webb, we just kind of sat in the front and controlled the race and then try to go on from there.
Well, sitting in the back is definitely something that's going to be new for you. As far as we're concerned here, we're used to definitely seeing you out front. It's going to be very interesting to see next week what exactly you're going to be able to do and what exactly is going to transpire between you and Zach Rinker trying to finish out the season. But for right now, congratulations on the second place finish here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I will turn the mic over to you and let you thank anybody you need to thank.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to Flamingo Promo. They've stuck with me, and I can't thank enough for those guys. Burnt Rubber Media and Circle B Diecast. Great group of guys, and they always support me. And my mom and dad out there watching.
Well, you definitely have a great group of supporters, definitely in the chat. We see them week in and week out. And, Joe Miranda said, thank you, Super Mario. We look forward to seeing you next week here at Talladega Speedway. And congratulations on your second place finish. But right now, I believe, Dean, you're standing by with our winner of the evening. That's going to be Mr. Dalton Tucker.
Yeah, I've got Dalton Tucker here, winner once again here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Congratulations, Tucker. But I want to say, your mom's still faster.
That she is.
It was a great race, man, and we're gonna get right to what we've seen out of you. Something that I've been talking about a bit, and I really liked seeing it from you. Two corners, two different lines, really paying off tonight.
For sure. I think basically you just had to pick a line and basically stick to it the whole run because it were the front right off different than the right rear, and if you kept mixing them up based on which corner, it just kind of wear uneven. So stuck to the high side in 1 and 2, and then kind of the middle bottom in 3 and 4, and 3 and 4 is really paying off for me.
Yeah, it really did. It was just it was great to see those, like I said, those multiple grooves working for you. As this race went along, what were you thinking? Now, you obviously knew you had the race car to beat, or you were the driver to beat, I should say. And we seen you perhaps a little tentative on pit road. Was that purposeful?
I didn't want any mistakes. I knew I had a decent sized lead over Mario, so just easy on, easy off, and I lost a little bit of ground, but it was I got out to a decent lead at the beginning, and that really helped with that.
Now, I got to ask you at the end, you made my heart do some palpitations there, Dalton. I thought maybe you were out of gas. Were you just letting some guys get their lap back, or what was going on there?
I saw there was 3 guys, third, fourth, and fifth, that were right there, and I was like, I'll give them one more lap to battle it out. And then I realized one of them was my teammate, and Shane was closing in on him. I was like, uh-oh, I might have just screwed him over, but he held on to it and finished, I think, in fourth.
Well, that's a classy move by you, man. We were always very impressed. We were bantering with some of your supporters out here. Edward was in here having some fun comments, of course, bringing up mom as we always do. Now, we're talking about it. What do you think about an idea of having a family event, Dalton? We get your mom out on the track, we get some kids out here, and some different relatives out racing each other.
That might be the one race I have no shot at winning. I might end up in the wall or something.
Absolutely, you just might. With Tucker, there's Dalton. Sorry, there's not a whole lot else to say. It was a dominating performance. We have nothing but the highest regard for you as a driver and as a guy in the league, and as a champion, perhaps not in this series this year for lack of races, but in general. Congratulations on the victory again, man.
Man.
All right, Brad. That was Dalton Tucker. He's got the family out here. Miranda's got the family. I think the families might have to do battle.
I don't know. It sounds kind of rough. Dalton was just talking about it. I think his mom would put him in the wall for the win for sure.
I think she would, and I'd love to see it. That would be just something to see. Unbelievable stuff. Let's get a quick look in and see if these championship points have updated. And yes, they have. So Mario Miranda showing on top here. Now, again, this is not quite accurate because it was updated off the faulty standings from before. So Miranda's going to have a little bit bigger lead than this, somewhere in the 10 to 15 point lead. The rest of the points should be right. Wyatt hanging in there in third, Jorgensen in fourth, Wilson in fifth, and there's some really tight battles here, Brad, between fourth through to I'd say about eighth, where Robert Warrens is sitting. There's it's quite tight there going into these last races.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you get into a race next week like Talladega, where you can have a huge point swing, and then you also, we don't know what the fallout is from tonight. Obviously we saw the contact between Miranda and we saw Rinker tonight. Will there be any fallout? Will there be any penalties or anything like that going into a race like Talladega? So we are not done by any stretch of the imagination. There's a good points battle between, like you said, about fourth and about 11th or whatnot, about ninth. So it's really going to happen. Darren Bruce came into this series fourth on the night, missed tonight. All of a sudden going to drop back to ninth. So it's going to be competitive, and you really don't know what's going to happen quite yet.
No, you don't, especially with the likes of Daga up next. You never know what'll happen at that track. And then it's Kansas and Charlotte. Should be entertaining. Make sure you come here to Full Throttle TV for all that action. It's going to be each and every Sunday for the next 3 weeks, I think, to wrap this up. Tomorrow night, we're going to have the Dark Matter Designs Cup Series. That should be highly entertaining. And we've also got, well, we've got a couple other series coming up shortly. We're going to have a new Tuesday night series, and that's going to be great. I really look forward to that one. So look for some posts about that coming up. And we've also got some action on Thursdays. But nonetheless, for myself, Dean Doucette, for Brad Patterson, that's going to wrap it all up here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll see you right here next time on Full Throttle TV.